Welcome, everyone, to the CSEA Local 401 informational podcast for our members, not only local but statewide. The goal of this podcast is to give members information of a variety of topics. Topics such as member engagement, political action, not political affiliations, just action. Want to make sure you guys understand the difference. Talking with executive cabinet members, local level cabinet members, even local members, so you guys can get a vast knowledge at your hand at any time just to learn and grow from. Because the most important thing in the union is you. Stay tuned. We're going to have us a great episode today. Featuring on today's episode, we have the amazing Political Action Coordinator, Matt D'Amico for Region 2. One of the best in the game, Contract Administration Specialist, Jamel Harewood. And we might even have it popping from some special guests, like my great producing team right now, the one and only Deputy Director, Mr. Neil Kelly, and the best in the business. He only goes by David, because if you're lucky enough to know his last name, then I don't got to tell you it, because he takes the best photos in the business. He's always knowledgeable, and he's one of the best media consultants we have all in CSEA. So stay tuned. We're going to have us some fun. All right, we're here with the illustrious Matt and the great Jamel. And the first question, the debating topic, we're just going to have some interesting fun with is, for you, Matt, what is PAC, Political Action Committee?
So the Political Action Committee, every region in CSEA has to have a functioning Political Action Committee. So Region 2, being here in the city, we have our own Political Action Committee, which is made up of members throughout the region, representing various locals. They are appointed by their local president. Right. And with approval from the region president. You yourself are on our PAC committee, which we're very glad to have. And Jamel, who's now your LRS, was on the PAC committee for many years when he was at the Department of Tax and Finance. The PAC committee is very important. Right. You know, all the committees are important in the region, but I always like to say the PAC committee is really the backbone of the region in terms of committees, because it is the policies and decisions that are made by our elected officials that directly affect our jobs and the work that we do. Now, the PAC committee is very important because, among other things, we interview candidates for office, as you know.
Right, yeah, we do.
We have city elections this time, right? And you were in some of these interviews where we interviewed members for a city council.
Right, a couple of districts, and it was real important, like you said, because most importantly with the elections, we get to know what their policies are and what they stand for, and the questions we ask kind of give us a window into what they do. Because issues that affect us, like you said, if they pass a policy that's going to affect wages, health benefits or something, we need to know and be ahead of that and make a voice known for our people. Jamel, what do you think about that? Like, from your time being on the PAC committee, what do you remember?
It was very eye-opening because before getting active, you don't realize how much power you have by educating yourself on who the leaders are in your community and how they affect the policies that affect where you work, where you live, and things like that. So when I first got involved, I really didn't know, to be honest, I didn't really know what I was getting into. Mac just told me, you should really be on this PAC team. And then seeing that I encouraged, other members from within the local and could speak to the importance of it and spread that knowledge to the members of the local.
That's great. I remember that. I remember the first time I got involved in it. Matt was chasing me down for a couple of years to get me on it. Every time I say him, Jackie, you got to come to PAC. Jackie, you got to come to PAC. No, I don't, Matt. I don't have to come. And then he invited me to something that was really eye-opening. It was a couple of years before. It was literally the year before I joined PAC. We sat down with the current, and I don't remember his name because it was so long ago. He was a chair of the budget committee. And at this time, it was cuts and everything. Cuomo was on the warpath, and he was saying he was going to cut like 30 beds or 40 beds. And we sat down with him, and we were together, and I told him, I said, listen, you want to cut those beds, be my guest. But just so you know, mental health does not have boundaries. It doesn't just stop around the corner. So that patient's bed you might cut might be the same reason you get a phone call in the middle of the night that somebody you loved is in the hospital because got attacked by somebody who should have been in that bed that you just cut. And that's when I learned firsthand like how important it is what we do. And from then, we just been clicking, and we are everything. Anything you send me to, except for fundraisers. I love you, Matt, but I can't do fundraisers all the time.
all right. That's okay. That's understandable. I mean, that's not all. Fundraisers are important.
They are.
And it's important for the membership to know that they have a lot of power because of their union. We're a few blocks from Wall Street over here. They all have lobbyists. They have people that advocate for them, the Wall Street, the insurance industry. But a lot of our members don't realize they have lobbyists too. We have lobbyists in Albany that work for CSEA that are in our legislative and political action department. They lobby on all the bills that come in Albany. They They keep track of all the bills to see where they might hurt our members or help our members. They advocate for legislation. We're always looking for ideas too, Jackie. If you have ideas or members, of legislation that you would like to see, we listen to the members and we try to put that legislation in if it's viable.
Absolutely.
And the PAC, we make endorsements. We interview and we make endorsements, and those endorsements are really based on who we think will best represent our members. And we're not always right. Sometimes we endorse someone and they don't do what's right by us. And
they
then
go
you know
left
what?
on us.
And we got to try to take them out. But we never tell the members who to vote for. We tell the members who we feel will be best to vote for.
Right, and I think that's a big thing that members tend to get confused on or miscommunicated from us on is, and we could always do a better job in everything. We're never perfect, and we always grow and we avenue from that. But it's that we're not telling you to vote for. We're telling you who our ideologies align best with. The people we can trust or we trust right now to do what's best for us moving forward. Because, they might come out now and the bill they want to support is this. But we don't know on the internal workers or whatever they're going through that they might not be able to support that bill in the same manner. But if our members are educated, then they know, hey, listen, this is an important race we need to get into. I think the biggest thing I've seen accomplished, especially from the PHC standpoint, and we got help from everybody, was, I think it was a couple years ago, they were trying to open the Constitution of the state to rewrite something that would have really destroyed benefits, pensions, and everything.
The Constitutional Convention.
Right, and that was the biggest turnout we had of people go out there and go, no, you can't open it. And I don't even think the members at that time understood how important that was until we got to the local levels and we started explaining it to them. And I think that's a big shout out to you, Matt, big shout out to you, Jamel, for the work y'all do, because keeping the region running is a hard enough job. And the support you guys provide to the locals is amazing. And for us to be able to tell them that, and the ones who want to get involved, I think that's how we're going to keep them involved.
Well, I just real quick on the Constitutional Convention, which Jamel mentioned and you mentioned, that was a huge thing, and CSEA statewide did a great job, because before we started to get heavily involved as a union and also with the labor movement, the Constitutional Convention was polling at about 63-37 in favor of having a Constitutional Convention. The poll numbers were very much in favor. Once we started educating the members and the public of all the things that were at stake, if a constitutional convention, it means they would be able to open up the New York State Constitution, which guarantees many rights that we enjoy, including our right to have our pension protected and other civil service rights and labor rights that would have all been in jeopardy. So we were able to turn that around. So we went from a 63-37, 67-33 for in favor to a reverse of almost 60% against the Constitutional Convention. And that was one of the great successes of this union. But we've got to keep replicating that stuff.
Absolutely. And I think it's important that we do, because, listen, everything going on right now, especially in politics, everything is getting affecting the working class, the middle class, the lower class. We got to do better. We got to do more. And we're going to start with that, getting our people involved more, educating them, and letting them know what's next. Okay. Question 2. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Question 2 for you, Jamel. What do you think is the stigma behind members not wanting to get involved in stuff like PAC, voting, whether it's, and I'll pose it to both of you, whether it's statewide, regional, local elections, and members getting involved in political elections where your vote counts, but the stigma is that it don't? What do you think about that?
I don't think members understand the impact that they have, first by educating themselves about whatever the situation, whether it's a contract, local election, or other election, right? The best thing to do is educate yourself about what's going on, right? And sometimes when people do get involved, but they get involved by themselves and not really sharing information or getting heads together to make sure it's a communicative vote, right? And the vote doesn't turn out in their interest at the end. They lose faith.
Absolutely.
They lose faith in it, and they're discouraged from participating in future elections, regardless of what type of election. And the important thing is to continue to understand the power you have, continue to spread messages like we did with the Constitutional Convention, and spread knowledge, right? So that when you go to vote, you're voting for yourself and your best interests, but it's also a community vote at the same time, because you're not just keeping that information for yourself, you're sharing it with the people you rub shoulders with every day.
Absolutely.
So I think the stigma happens because a lot of times we just hold the information and go to the polls by ourselves, with the information we have, instead of making sure that we're voting as a community.
I think you make some great points there, especially the one about people getting discouraged because it might not have gone their way the first time, and they think like, oh, well, I voted for this person, it didn't happen, I'm going to just not vote no more.
Right.
Not realize, like you said, how much power they have in voting. Like, there's a reason we have a beautiful democracy. It's not perfect. It doesn't always work the way we intended to, but we have it. It's not like, listen, you just got to do it this way, where it could be much worse.
Right.
And like you said, I think it's really big to know that, like, people just can't get discouraged. Just because it don't go your way mean you just full stop.
Right.
We got to be important with it. And Matt, for you, like, when it comes to like voting for the president, voting for his team of the president, vice president, like, what do you think is the stigma around that people don't go out and vote no more? Because sometimes the candidates, you don't like either one, but you should still vote.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't play around on this kind of stuff. I tell the members all the time, there is no excuse for a member of CSEA not to vote. I'm very passionate about that, and I believe in that, because the people we vote for, we get to elect our bosses. Not many people can say that, because the policies, as I said earlier, directly affect the work life. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but you've got to go out and vote, because that is our power. Our power is in numbers, right? The billionaire that's not too far from here on Wall Street, which I've said, he has a lot of money, he has a lot of influence, but he only has one vote still. When he goes into that voting booth, he's still one person. CSEA has tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of voters. That's where the power is, and that's why the people who are in power continue to try to make it harder for us to vote, make it more difficult for us to vote, and they love it when working people say, oh, who cares, my vote doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They want people to stay home. They want people to be disengaged. They want people to be cynical, because then they can consolidate their power and implement policies that hurt the members we represent. So there really is no excuse not to vote. It's easier now than ever. We got early voting.
Yeah.
You're going to vote for. Who you vote for is your choice. But we see in elections after elections, including this last election, whoever you supported or didn't, almost 100 million people did not vote. If a few thousand people in some of these big swing states, we heard these battleground states, people know that, were decided to vote, even if they weren't 100% for the other person, but they knew someone else was going to do a lot of damage, we would have had something different potentially going on now in this country. But voting is so important, because it is, like you said, the backbone of our democracy. Now, look, doesn't mean there's not problems in our institutions with our elected officials. A lot to be critical of. But you cannot stay home and not vote.
No, you can't. And like you said, it's not perfect. You want to be in a position where people can be heard and their voices can be heard. But if society, social media, everything you take advantage of that you feel is critical information is telling you something different, that's what you're going to listen to. And that's what we also got to start, is that we got to engage the members where the members are at. We have to, because that's how we're going to make things better. That's how we're going to start to do things. And I think that's the next great topic is, how does political action tie into member engagement? How do you guys feel like that? Like, how do we make those two things coincide and work? Because for me right now is being in a local level president and talking around members every day. I could be walking down the corridor and 3 members have stopped me with 3 different questions, and I'm thinking, all right, I can answer those questions 1, 2, 3 and keep going about my day. I look at my watch, it's 30 minutes later, because their questions led to another question, led to another question. Now, sometimes some people will stop, only answer that one question and keep walking. I love to engage my members, let them know, like, no, we're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about, and if I'm late to my next spot, I'll just be late to it. But I don't want you to ever feel like you didn't get what you needed from me. A big thing for me has always been, hey, listen, no matter what happens, I'm going to get you the answer. Now, I can't promise you're going to like it, but I at least can promise you'll have an answer. Because there's always somebody I could call. Like, if it's a contract thing and I'm not sure about it, text and pick up the phone to Jamel. If it's something like, hey, who are we looking into with this candidate, we give Matt a text. I mean, I use technology to my advantage. I'm ready to do whatever it takes for my members. But from you guys' perspective, because you have it at a regional level and statewide, because I know you sit on a lot of those committees as well. You go up there all the time. And you deal with the political action department. And Jamel from the contract administration and dealing with other locals. Like, how do you think we can get our members more engaged?
So I think you touched on a couple of things there. One of the things I liked about what you said was you utilize your resources, right? Because you don't have all nobody has all the information.
Absolutely.
Right? Even in leadership positions, we don't always know everything, right? So it's important to tie into your resources. That's one of the things I learned as a local president, and even now as a contract administration specialist, I'm still doing that. You know, if there's anywhere where I'm lost, at least I know where to turn, right? And I think that's also important for the members to understand, right? Sometimes a member might have an issue and come to you with something, and you may not have the answer, but you, like you said, you picked up the phone, you called somebody that had the answer to help them out, but also transfer that information to the membership. It's good to transfer that information to the members so that they understand too. You can always, you don't always have to come to me necessarily with something like this. Lead them right to the source. So at the same time, you're educating them with what that source is, so they can help other people, and it gives you a less burden too as a leader. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It definitely does, and that's really big, because you know what? The thing I understand the most about this is this job is definitely stressful, because a lot of people come to you with everything on their plate, and they're usually scared. They're usually terrified. Something's going on in their personal life, something's going on in their work life, and they're trying to figure it out, and they're not realizing, like, we're here to help you, and we are, but there's a whole facet of help that goes with it. And we want to make sure that you get everything to it. And then in the back end of it is the complaints we get, no matter what level you at. It could be local, it could be contract administration, it could be political action committee coordinator, it could be media relations, it could be deputy director. I think one thing we always heard is, when we go get some more money, how do we fix that? How do we start? We start by doing what we need to. Electing officials who feel the same way we do, that the working class is not getting a livable wage, that the working class is not getting their fair due. I've said this to you, I've said it to a bunch of people many times, that everything is telling me, and it being that I sit on a committee with Matt and we can talk, and we in meetings, we interviewing people, is everybody understands there's a housing crisis. Not one person has come up with a legitimate plan to do something about it. We have to get more involved. We have to make our voice heard that, no, this is a problem. Because what you're doing right now is, and you don't have to admit it or not, political people, not calling one person out, not calling anybody out, but you're turning New York City, my home, our home, we grew up here, we lived here, you turn it into a metropolis. And a metropolis is simply this: you can work here, but you can't live here. And everything they're doing is, the next thing's coming down the line. Who knows what's next? How long before we can't afford to live here? Then what? We got to be more involved. And that's where this power comes from, member engagement, because it's so critical. And that's a tough bag right there, just even getting the members to talk about anything. But it's not a fight we ever going to give up. Because I know I'm not going to give up, and I know Matt's not going to let me give up. Because every time I try to run away, he's right there. Matt is fast. I don't care what nobody say. Matt is fast. You blink and he's, hey, Jack, like, I just ran away from you. How did you get back so fast? And Jamel always finds me. Like, no matter what you do, it's like, I know where the good Jack is. Let me call him. Then he tries tricking me. Don't worry about it, people. We love each other. We make it work. But he tried to trick me one time. He called from a blocked phone number. I knew it was him now. Love him to death, but I knew it was him. But, I mean, listen. Like you both said, PAC is important. Political action is important. And we're never going to tell you need to vote for this person. Our bread and butter, our main goal will always be, you need to vote. You have to. It's so important. Whether it's a presidential election, the elections that I get that I miss the most, and Matt, you can correct me on this one, Congress, councilmen, districts, aldermen, all of that is missed. And that's so important. Because unless I'm wrong, Matt, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if it was a crooked alderman, you're going to be a crooked congressperson, and you're going to be a crooked presidential candidate.
Yep. I mean, all politics is local, right?
Mm-hmm.
Famous politician said that, and it's true, because what I tell people, especially with the city elections, is even though we represent state workers and we have some nonprofits in the private sector, we don't have direct business in terms of our contracts with city elected officials, but we live in the city. Our members live in these communities, and the policies that a mayor makes or city council makes affects our members in terms of, like you said, housing, healthcare, schools, because our members live in this community. And The other thing is, like you also said, is that when these people get elected, sometimes at the city level, they run for higher office.
Yep.
They run for state senate, state assembly. Some even run for governor, and so forth. So we have to be involved at all levels of politics, because we don't know, the person we endorse today may wind up becoming someone very powerful tomorrow, and they need to remember the CSEA was with them when they first started out. So
Right.
that we need things from them, that they listen to our concerns. Yeah, political action is not just about making endorsements, right? It's also, once we make the endorsement, we've got to come out in support of that
Right.
candidate or candidates. Now, I know people's time is limited, and we try to do things geographically based on area. So if we endorse someone up in the Bronx,
Yeah.
I'll reach out to Bronx Psych and some of our locals and people that live there. But it's going out, it's volunteering on a campaign if you can, even if it's just an hour or two. It is sending out postcards on behalf of issues too. It's not just about candidates. We also fight on issues. We fight when there are budget cuts. We have a federal issue right now we're dealing with. We have the federal government looking to cut billions and billions of dollars
Right, with the
from
new bill.
Medicaid, from schools, from food assistance. This will all affect our membership.
100%.
So we ask people to come out to rallies. We have rallies. We ask people, we have a great website, CSEANY.org, and we have a political action tab. We have actions that people can take from the comfort of their own home. You know, a lot of times people say, "Oh, I don't got time to go get on a train and go somewhere," or "I'm too busy," or "I'm working mandated overtime," which
Right,
we
yeah.
know is a problem. Now you can go on our website, and we have what's called the Action Network. We have action links. All you have to do is put in your name and address, and we send the letter out for you. We send it out to your elected officials based on your address. So there's lots of things that people can do, but really being in the streets is one of the most important things you can do.
Right.
I'd like to piggyback on that a little bit
ahead.
because it could seem overwhelming sometimes to the member, being a former member, just to get involved, because you don't know what you can do, or you figure that you have to get involved in a major way, right? And like Matt said, it's as simple sometimes as just putting your name on a pre-drafted form and sending it to your local officials. It's that simple. It takes less than 2 minutes most of the time. You just go on, put your name. It tells you exactly who you're sending it to, based on your zip code and stuff like that. 2 minutes of your time, and just something like that small. If that's all you can do, you're still making an impact. You understand?
Absolutely. Listen, it's like a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Every small impact is going to help get the goal. And I think it's really important that you said, to segue into this point, but for me is big, is that he said something real positive right there. They both did that. We got to get involved. And these pre-automated forms from the Action Network is great, but it's go based on your zip code. But to all our members out there, how many of y'all write zip codes with CSEA? Come on now, let's talk about it. You got to get that information out. That's why we pushing that whole member engagement, updated information, so we sending this stuff to the right people. Because I don't want you sending it to a district you no longer live in, and then the district you do live in, and it's worse, is not getting your words heard. That's important. Like, we got to do it. Like, every time Matt sends me one, he's like, "Hey guys, we supporting this team doing this because we got to let it be known that they're trying to do this." Okay, cool. I do it from the comfort of a lot of places. I won't mention where, because we're keeping this family and friendly. But I do it just to make sure that my voice is heard, because rent is just constantly going up. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of paying these high rents in New York City. But that all starts with us letting our local officials know that, listen, maybe you need to come together, all the congressmen, all the council people, all the district people, and come up with a new bill that says rents cannot be raised at the astronomical rates they raise them just because they want to. It is the same house, on the same block, on the same street. Why from one year to the next you raise another $300? Why when you let me leave, the next people come in got to pay an extra $700? That starts with us letting our council people know, our congress people know, hey, listen, the district you talking in, the district you work for, it's not happening. I'd love to see any congressperson, any councilwoman, any councilman, anyone of you were living at that wage, if we want you to be our person and leader, live at the poverty line that you in the council of. Let's see how you like it, and we could go from there. Because I guarantee you in a second, when you can't pay your bills and you got to make the choice of having heat or having water, then you know what it's truly like to struggle. And that's what you need to know. And that starts with, every time we send a link out, even if you can't make it, like Matt said, maybe an hour or two a day, go to a phone bank, support somebody's campaign rally. It's a person you believe in, you should be more motivated to support. We're not sending you to support somebody you don't believe in. We want you to get involved. And if you truly believe somebody in your district is going to do better for you, show that extra support. We align with it, great. We don't align with it, great. But you know what is even better than great? It's excellent that you're getting involved. And that's the most important thing. I think you guys did an amazing job. The information you're giving our members is astounding, and I think it's going to open the doors for a lot of people. I thank you. I also reserve the right to invite you back at another time. If I catch you at a conference for a quick update video, please be ready, because the information you two have, we got to get it out there. And you guys are really good at letting it go out. You have no problem. You agreed to this. We did it. And I think anybody who watches is going to learn a lot. So from me to you guys, thank you again.
Welcome, no problem, man. Anytime.
And have a great one, everybody. First and foremost, we want to thank y'all for hanging out with us today. It was a great conversation with some great peoples. I want to give a big thank you to the entire team, started with Neil, the great one, David, smooth as ever, Matt, and big time Jamel. I mean, the knowledge and information they was able to give today, you guys got to understand that it's some great stuff for you to look at and take with you. Most importantly, I want you guys to remember that you are the UN Union. The members are everything. It starts and ends with you guys. Everything we do for you starts and ends with you guys. You got to get informed. You got to get educated. You got to get knowledgeable. And most importantly, ask questions. Ain't nothing wrong with it, because the teams like us, if we don't got the answer, I promise you they will get you the answer. And moving forward, like, subscribe, share. You got some questions, comments, you got an idea for a show, drop it in there. We looking for everything. We're looking to be engaging. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great one.